Mark, what do you make of? Did you see any of the Gronowski struggles? I mean, you were sitting there watching condensed highlights. Were those condensed highlights? Did those include some of his throws that were just like nowhere close to their intended receivers, Mark?
A couple, yes.
Okay, I mean, what do you make of that? Because the one I'm like, boy, is he? Because honestly, having had shoulder surgery, I know what it's like to not be able to throw and like try to throw where you want to throw, and like the ball ends up 20 feet short of where you're trying to throw. So that's what my thought was, like, this guy looks like he just came off a shoulder surgery, but he's been healthy and throwing full speed for, the last 2 months. So, I mean, but Kirk continues to say he'll be fine. It was, he's just amped up. He compared him to kind of to Drew Tate. He said Mark hides it a lot better than Drew did. Drew, before the game, would just be so amped up, wants to do so much. And that's what he said Mark was suffering from. It just Mark deals with it a little bit better. And he thought he settled down as the game went on. But, he kept saying how this was his first game at Iowa. He's played a lot of football, but it's his first game at Iowa. And I get that. I mean, I do get that. But I just don't like I guess what I have a hard time with, and everybody's different, but we see so many quarterbacks that move from either FCS to Big Ten or SEC level, or just move to a different place, and they don't come out like that. I don't know. Now, Brosmer struggled early, I think, for Minnesota last year before he kind of got his feet under him. So maybe that's a better comparison, but I just haven't seen something like that to that extent.
Well, there could be something to, moving up levels, and not just the competition, because obviously the competition wasn't there on the field with him the first game. But it could be more so than a quarterback who moves from big school to big school, that with that jump, just having a little bit more pressure on them to prove that I belong playing at this level.
Yeah. And he played against Iowa in 2022, and he beat that Albany program. That South Dakota State team beat Albany 2 years ago, 59-0, and he had like 330 all-purpose yards and like 4 incompletions. So, I mean, just compare it. I know they're different teams, the same program.
The one I saw that seemed like a red flag, was it Seth Anderson that was wide open in the end zone? He one-hopped
it was
to
Sam Phillips.
Sam Phillips. Yeah, Sam Phillips. The one hop to his waist that was 10 foot short. That was a little bit of a red flag to me. That's a
Well, the ball came out weird, and somebody said after the game that it was tipped. I didn't see it tipped.
But
the ball came out really wobbly and weird.
Yeah.
And it landed like at least 10 feet short
that was
of a wide open
weird
Sam
one.
Phillips in the end zone.
I mean, that's a fairly routine throw.
But Kirk brought up today in his press conference the little hitch route out to, I think it was Seth Anderson on the left, and he said he's thrown that ball 1,000 times, and he grounded it like 10 feet short of the receiver.
That's why the two amped explanation is kind of a weird one, because I mean, I would think if you're too amped, you'd be overthrowing stuff versus, I mean, it could go either way. But
it could go either way, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, what else? That's the thing, Levi. What else is it? That's the thing. It's like, we keep saying, it's like, if this guy was just coming out of high school and he just really did suck.
Right.
But we can pull up tape of him playing high major college football. He can make all those throws.
Right.
So,
I mean, if you're playing at any level of college football, Division III, NAIA, someone at Morningside can make that throw.
Yeah, exactly. So I would think he's not going to go from horrifically bad to just bad. I would think he's going to go from horrifically bad back to what he normally is. And I think that's what Hawkeye fans hope. So, and I think it'll be good don't you think, Mark, to go away from home to play on the road somewhere? And by the way, because he's played at South Dakota State in a place like Kinnick, he's done that before at this level. He's went on the road in front of a bunch of fans and played a better program. So not that Iowa State's a better program than Iowa, but I'm just saying.
I was gonna say,
Levi! Oh my God, he said it! I can't believe Corey finally
what a Freudian slip that was there from Corey.
Yeah, you were just waiting. You've been waiting for that for 5. You better leave now. Leave on a high note.
It took my brain a second to register. I was like, wait a second.
Anyways, but he's done it before. So if he comes out on Saturday and is back to his old self, it changes my viewpoint completely. And I do think to some extent that will happen. I just need to see it.
Isn't it more reasonable to think that he's not going to be the old Mark Gronowski, but he's not going to be what he was last week, that he's going to make it about halfway back?
Why is that more reasonable? See, that's the why is that more reasonable? Explain to me with logic why that's more reasonable.
Because for him to make an improvement against much better players in 1 week.
But this isn't a matter of he just turned into crap. It's not a matter of he just turned from good.
Well, I think
to
Mark
crap.
is saying. I think Mark's saying though is that like him return. He's got a long ways to return to get to the mean. Where so like it may not be able to all happen in 1 week, especially
okay, but it wasn't like this massive sample size, Levi. It was a few throws in the first quarter. So it's not like we just saw him go out there and take a dump on his legs the entire game. They just stopped throwing. That's why I was frustrated by the fact they stopped throwing, because I'd like to see him work his.
I think I would just electing to just not throw the ball was actually kind of a fairly large mistake on their part.
But that's
we'll see. We'll see how
mindset.
large.
Kirk just wanted to get out of there. He's like, we'll forget this.
And honestly, I'm sympathetic to that. The tricky part though, I mean, you're looking at it because he was. I mean, he was 2.9 yards per attempt, for like 4 and change or 5 and change per completion, which is a extraordinarily low. Basically, they didn't ask him to throw anything.
Correct.
Like the few things they did ask him to throw were like little hitch routes, whatever it is, that were just nothing.
Exactly.
They didn't actually ask him to make any throws. That's and the ones they like the real throws they asked him to make were not good.
But they were the first quarter. Those were all in the first quarter.
That's right. So my curiosity is, why did they just never give him another shot at it?
Here's my guess, because I don't think it's a matter of they just thought he couldn't do it, so we need to just run the ball and win this game. I really do think there's a better chance, especially if it was Brian Ferentz as the OC, I'd feel differently. But with it being Tim Lester as the OC, I wouldn't be shocked if they had a conversation, Coach Lester and Coach Ferentz had a conversation. It was basically like, Brad's going to figure this out, or excuse me, Mark's going to figure this out. Let's get out of here. Let's not show Iowa State anything. We don't have to. We're going to run the ball and blow through this team in the second half anyways. We're going to be fine. And I think that's my guess. Not
like
that I'm
gamble with a transfer quarterback,
but I don't ever buy into the whole Iowa played vanilla. But I think this year, given the circumstances on Saturday, there's more of a chance that happened down the stretch. Because like you said, they didn't ask him to do anything down the field. You can't possibly convince me with Tim Lester as OC that they're not going to be trying to make shots down the field at some point Saturday. I just can't imagine that, unless they just run the ball down your throat.
I mean, if I was running for three bills, then who gives a shit if they get past for 40 yards? But like, I think it's reasonable to expect that they probably won't do that on Saturday unless something goes catastrophically wrong for Iowa State.